Hey, AP Stats, Mr. Ellinger here, and I'm just going to do a little calculator thing. Your good friend of mine, Ms. Smith, in class, at the end of class, said her calculator wasn't giving her the right screen. And this is one of those things where it's like when I have people in class, then I think of the technology things and they say, oh, we can problem solve it and stuff. But when we're distance, it's a lot harder. So I can show you what happens if the screen doesn't look the way that you expect it to. So this is when you hit second distor. This is doing the norm CDF button. So remember, we're trying to find the area between any two marks on a normal model. So second distor. And now so I've changed my model right now. Now I'm on a basic TI-84 plus, and when I hit the norm CDF button, then I get that this time. But I can set it so that I don't. If you go into mode on the calculator, and then you go all the way down, or you can go up to go around the world. You want to have this thing Stats Wizards. You want that turned on. If you have it turned off, let me hit enter. There we go. If you have it turned off, there we go. Then when you hit second distor and you do norm CDF, then it doesn't give you that thing. They call it a stat wizard, where it kind of step by step takes you through the things. You have to just type the values in. If anybody has this problem, that you go into mode and you don't have a thing that says stat wizards, and your second distor results look like this, then let me know. I can explain to you what to do in this situation. But for everybody else, if for some reason when you do second distor you get something like this, just go into mode, hit mode. Oh, there we go. And then you have to. It's on the on the old 84 plus. You have to go to the second page, and on the second page there's a thing that says Stat Wizards. Go to that, turn it on, and then when you do clear, when you do distor, second distor number 2. Then you'll get the Stat Wizard stuff, and so you'll be able to type the stuff in. Remember that if you want to go for quick little notes on this, if you want to go like from a value, like we went from -2, no, it was -1, and then we went to 10,000. So the idea was we want to go from -1 to infinity. We wanted for the boys to be between a certain height, I think it was 140 centimeters, and higher, like forever, ever, ever, right? And so when we did that, and I went down and hit enter, then we got 84%. And the interesting thing is we could say, all right, let's try to do it again. Let's do second distor. And so do we really need to go to 10,000? So let's try norm CDF. And instead, I'm going to go down to, went too far. I'm going to go down to this. And I'm just going to make it, well, would 1,000 be enough? Like how far, what numbers do I get when I do 1,000 instead? And we hit enter. And notice we get the exact same answer. It's such a small difference that the calculator can't even pick it up. The decimals that would be different are off the screen. Okay, so if 1,000 is good enough, then, well, let's keep going. I mean, how many zeros do I have to hit? Let's try, instead, let's try 100. There we go. Still hasn't changed. And you might be like, well, Mr. Ellinger, maybe your button's broken. You might be kind of wondering at this point, like, does it even matter? And so now I'm going to go from -1 to 10. And now I think we get some digits that are different. No, they're still the same. Wow, that's amazing. And then second distor. But just for the record, if I go from, number 2. If I go from -1 to, say, 5 or something, then you can see the digits start making a difference. And you might be like, well, what is going on? That's crazy. Well, look at the graph over here. Like 3 standard deviations from the mean on this nicely drawn normal curve. There's basically nothing left. I mean, there's a tiny little bit left. Remember, there's 99.7% of the area under the curve. The area is 1. And so 99.7% of the area is contained between -3 and 3 standard deviations on a normal curve, which means that there's just that tiny little bit that's left. And think about it, like from 4 to 5, you'd have most of that. And then once you hit, or from 3 to 4, then once you hit 4, then you'd be so small. And so you can see how little of a difference it makes. So for us, on a normal model, going out to 10 standard deviations of the mean is equivalent to going to infinity. It's not literally equivalent because there's like a little bit of area underneath there, but it's so small and it's so, because the thing is so packed down that going out to 10 will give you the exact same answer as going out to 1,000,000. Remember, that's the number of standard deviations you're going out from the mean. Now, actually, let me pause it and let me show you the book really quick just to clarify where you're going to do this. I think I know where it is. So, just one reminder that's kind of a pain about the book. I mean, in order to go to chapter 2, you have to start with unit 1, which kind of, thanks. It's kind of a pain. I wish they just had chapters. And there's chapter 2 within unit 1. And then you can go to 2.2 density curves. But finally, we get to the exercises, which are on 138, I think. Why does it say 144 there too? I don't know. I'm not going to ask. So here's the homework problems. So on tonight's homework, I remember the problems I gave. I just gave number 59. These are the only ones that involve using the calculator. And so it says, find the proportion of observations in a standard normal distribution, and we'll talk about this more, that satisfies each one of the following statements. So this one says z greater than negative 1.66. Let me do that one in a second. I'm going to do this one first. Negative 1.66 to 2.85. What that means is it's 1.66 marks down and 2.85 marks up. All this is asking you to do is use norm CDF, and go from negative 1.66 to 2.85. That's all it's asking you to do. So it's exactly like what we were doing in class. It's just asked in a slightly different way. And so I just want to point that out in case that threw people off. And remember, you have to turn on Stat Wizards. Stat Wizards, when you do second dist or norm CDF, if you see anything weird. You could just check your mode and make sure you've got Stat Wizards on. Anyway, just to make sure that's the way it is. Okay? That's it. I just want to show you that calculator trick. And if your calculator still doesn't have Stats Wizards, like if you go into mode and there is no Stats Wizards, I can upgrade your operating system, but only if we meet in person. So we'll need to somehow find a way to do that. Okay, that's it. I'll stop talking. Take care, and we'll see you Thursday.